Good to see you. Hey Dad, do you remember last week when I came home from a trip and we took a picture together? That's what the picture came out to look like. Can you see that? It's a really good picture of us. And then I posted that on Facebook and sent it out to all our friends. And just to say thank you for everybody that checked in to talk to us. And they wrote a lot of really nice comments. I would like to read those to you, if I can. Okay. Well, Linda Walton Castor, you know the Castors, right? She said, great picture of your dad. Larry's dad talks to Larry about your dad and says he really enjoyed your friendship, if you remember him. Okay. Rob Russ, a good friend of mine, said you both look great. Scott Northrup, you remember the Northrups and Scott. Scooter said, tell him he's in my thoughts and prayers, and tell him that his 2x6 bridge is still spanning the cattle guard on 149. Remember when you put that there so we could walk? Denise Himes, that's Rose's sister, says he may not remember me, but years ago he and I had a great conversation about you. He was so proud and had the biggest smile. Matt Voris, who's one of the Honor Flight Guardians, and now he runs it. You saw him at the going away. He said, Skip, your dad is in my thoughts and prayers. Amy Elder, you remember Amy, used to have coffee with her mom, says, hugs all around. I so enjoyed coffee with the gang a few years back. My mom has a great mix of neighbors and friends. Virgil was always so entertaining and conversational. Bryce Funk, you remember Brian's son Bryce? Give that wonderful man a big hug for me and tell him I say hi. Rose, Crazy Rose McIndeffer, you remember Rose? She says, hey crazy man, he always was my favorite conversations about why I call him that. 1 in a million he is, love you Verge. Brittany says, one of the best humans I know, love you Verge. Paul Lambrick says, tell Verge I said hello and that I'm glad to see that smile. No toothpick, but still that smile. God bless. Patrick Sam says, give Verge a big hug for me. Kay, our neighbor who has met you, says, great picture of you both, sending love and prayers. Nada Bamford, you remember Nada and Kent, right? Nada says, oh Verge, big hugs and lots of love. Renita Henson, you remember her from the Honor Flight, says, give him a big hug and tell him I said he did a fine job in you, sending you both peace and love. Kathy Faber, who is our sister-in-law, says, great photo, hugs to Verge and to you and Skipper. AJ Sifris, you remember AJ, she's a good friend of Taylor, says, love him so much. He has always reminded me of my granddad. Ann Krause, who I was on the Thunderbirds with, says, you two are so cute. Pete Culley, I work with Pete at work at United. He's a great guy. He says, sending prayers from all the Culleys. Shelly Krager, you remember Shelly Krager, don't you? She says, please tell him hi for all of us, what an amazing man he is. Jolene Northrup, you remember Jolene, I used to call her Herc for Hercules. Great friend, says, love you so much, Verge. He's looking good, just like you are now. Carol Schweiger says, he is a favorite. Big hello from John and Carol. You remember the Schweigers. Margie, who can forget Margie, give him a hug for me. He's pretty special to us. All those days at Dewey's, remember that? Alvin and Sherry Steffen, you remember them, says, great picture of him. Tell him that his classmate Dolores' oldest daughter says hi. Mom always talked about him. Love you all. You're the last member of that class, Dad. You with Dolores and Harold gone. Sylvia Faber, our other sister-in-law, says, "Aw, great picture, sending hugs to your dad and you and Heidi." Shirley Finkbeiner, remember Shirley, right? Shirley Tyson, this is probably how you remember her. "Good to see you, Virgil. You look good. I'm in assisted living here in the lodge in Greeley, closer to my one daughter. Yes, there's a strong resemblance between you and your son. Take care." Tina, everybody remembers Tina, right? Remember Tina Mack? "He sure is a tough one and a gem of a guy. Memories galore with Verge Johnson. Love you all." Vanessa Olmsted, she says, "He's such a nice man." Tracy, remember Tracy Sandberg, my classmate? This is pretty special. He talked to Kitty and he said, "Tell your dad that Kitty says hello." Nancy Kugler, another one of your favorites, says, "We've always appreciated your humor and wisdom. You are one of the greatest generation for sure." Joyce said, "Just sent prayers and hugs." Brian Funk, Bryce's dad, you remember Brian, right? He says, "Thinking of you all. Tell Mr. Verge I said hello." And Trina, you remember Trina, one of Julie's classmates, says, "How wonderful it is you get to visit him daily. Great photo of you two. Tell him thanks for the stories." Sue Northrup, Jolene's big sister, if you remember Sue, big tall Sue, great volleyball player, says, "Verge is the best. Tell him hello." Gary Dollarshell, you remember our neighbors, the Dollarshells, Kay and Gary. "Tell him hi for Kay and me. Yup, looking good." Denise Curtis says, "My goodness, you both look good." Kendra, remember Kendra Carlson, used to be Kendra Holsworth, says, "Hi from the Carlsons." Andrea says, "Love and prayers to your dad." Marshall Frazier, remember Marshall Frazier, the pastor out there, Dad? He says, "I love Verge. Tell him we said hello." Paula Eberhardt, you remember Paula? "Great picture of you both. Skip, you really look like your dad." Well, there's a shock to me. "Treasure these special memories." Gary Bartram says, "Verge and I go back many years together. Spent many memories reminiscing about the past. My dad, Bud Bartram, always spoke highly of Virgil and said he was one of the best cowmen in the country. Miss seeing you, Verge." Millie says, "Thanks for the update, Skip. We're wishing him the best." And the last one, it was Brenda Littlefield. You remember Brenda. "Such a great man. Tell him hello from the Littlefields."